He almost gave his parents a heart attack when what looked like a harmless hairball turned out to be something much more serious. He turned one reluctant cat adoption into a household of 6. And somewhere along the way, he started greeting everyone at the door like they were old friends.
Hey! Hi!
This is the story of Mr., the cat who was never supposed to be more than just one cat, but ended up changing everything. It started with a husband who was, let's say, less than enthusiastic about having a cat. But he agreed to one cat, and Ashley took that as permission to stay up all night scrolling Pet Finder. And that's when she found him, an adorable black and white kitten named Pongo. His foster mom reached out the very next morning, and by that afternoon, they were doing a meet and greet. By evening, it was official. It was love at first sight. Pongo went home and settled in fast. On his very first night home, he curled up to sleep right between his new parents, like he'd already decided this was where he belonged. He wasn't shy about making his presence known either. Not long after moving in, he discovered the staircase, took a few steps up, and suddenly let out a scream so alarming that his parents came sprinting from across the house, convinced something was terribly wrong. What they found was a kitten standing there, staring back at them, completely fine, just checking if anyone was paying attention. This would become a recurring theme with Pongo. Later nicknamed Mr. Sticks, Mr. Screams, and a few other titles he's earned over the years. Because if there's one thing this guy cannot tolerate, it's being ignored. He is, by his family's own description, a calm and sophisticated gentleman who keeps himself impeccably groomed, but also fully capable of screaming his head off the second he isn't getting attention. He also appointed himself head of household operations, especially when food is involved. He supervises the kitchen anytime food is being cooked, because clearly nothing can be trusted to happen without his oversight. And just when you think you're some kind of cat magnet and there's no way you can take a step without Mr., you suddenly realize he's nowhere to be found. And now you're on a mission to find him.
What the heck? What the heck? Is this the new hangout spot?
He is in every sense a cat of contradictions. Refined one moment, absolutely unhinged the next, glued to you all day, then suddenly gone, off exploring the secrets inside the furniture without inviting you along. But underneath the diva behavior is one of the sweetest animals anyone in this family has ever known. Mr. greets every single person who walks through the door with a curious sniff and a gentle rub against the leg, like he's personally welcoming them into his home. Because, in fairness, it is his home. He's the ultimate cuddle buddy, a devoted biscuit maker, and his human's furry little shadow. He became the family's first baby, arriving before their son, before 3 different moves, before a string of new jobs, and all the chaos of figuring out adulthood. Through every bit of it, Mr. was there, purring through the hard days, curling into laps, making a house feel like a home. But at around 9 or 10 months old, something happened. Mr. began struggling to breathe, and what looked at first like an average hairball moment was actually the beginning of feline asthma. The symptoms could be terrifying to watch. Hunched low to the ground, neck stretched out, hacking and gasping like he was trying to force something loose that simply wouldn't budge. It wasn't a hairball, but his airways closing in on him, and what followed was a heartbreaking battle. There were emergency vet visits, day after day. X-rays, blood work, fluids, and an echocardiogram to rule out heart problems, which, thankfully, came back completely normal, confirming it truly was asthma and nothing more sinister. There were steroid injections and oxygen treatments. And there was one especially terrifying night, a flare-up so severe it landed him in the hospital overnight for the very first time, leaving his family feeling helpless while he stayed somewhere they couldn't be. He came home the next day, but it would not be the last scare. Some weeks were worse than others. There were stretches where his breathing stayed rapid for days, requiring vet visits every single day just to keep him stable. There was a discharge from one hospital stay followed by a return trip less than 24 hours later because his breathing hadn't fully settled. His family describes it as an emotional roller coaster, the kind of fear that doesn't fully let go even when the numbers on paper start looking better. And yet, every time Mr. fought back. He took his inhalers like a champ. He tolerated the tests, the needles, the endless trips to the vet, all while apparently still managing to charm every single person he met there. More than one vet tech has stopped mid-appointment just to tell his humans how handsome and well-mannered gentleman he is, even while sick. Now, his family didn't just wait around hoping he'd get better. They rebuilt their entire home around his lungs. Out went the carpet, replaced with flooring that wouldn't trap allergens. In went air purifiers, room by room. Scented candles and sprays were banned entirely. Combined with his daily medications, the change has been remarkable. Mr. hasn't needed to be hospitalized in almost 3 years. Somewhere in the middle of all that fear and fighting, something beautiful happened. Mr.'s resilience and the sheer force of how much love he brought into the house sparked something in his parents they hadn't expected. They started opening their home to more cats who needed one. First came Chunky, a friend for Mr. so he wouldn't be alone. It went so well that they couldn't resist adding another. And another. And what began as a plan for exactly one cat turned into a family of 5 permanent siblings, 6 additional cats rescued outright, and 15 more given a safe place to land through fostering. All that because one sick, screaming, scene-stealing kitten taught 2 people what unconditional love actually looks like.
Couch time for them babes. Miss Mitt? Beena Baba? Chunks? And Misty.
Today, Mr. rules the household the way only a true king can. Keeping his siblings in line, welcoming every newcomer with open paws, and still finding time for his favorite thing in the world, snuggles. Every morning brings the same ritual: quiet cuddles, contented purring, gentle kneading, and a goodbye head boot before his humans leave for work, as if he needs to make absolutely sure they'll be back. He was never supposed to be anything more than a single cat in a pet finder listing. Instead, he became the soul of an entire family, the reason a house full of rescued cats exists at all, and living proof that the toughest fighters often come wrapped in the softest fur.